veggie steak fajitas, anyone? So this is some homemade bread that I decided to make in order to be more mindful and healthy on what I eat. So I am using Greek yogurt instead of butter. And I'm also using bread flour and arrowroot flour. That is less in carbohydrates. And I'm not making the full recipe. I only wanted to make a few pieces of fajita bread. And this is not a traditional recipe. I just used flour, egg, Greek yogurt, a little bit of milk, and some salt with a dash of olive oil instead of using butter in order to get my bread patties. Some people can use this recipe to make rolls. It may come out a little bit dry if you don't use butter, but I was trying to cut back on some fat and some carbs, but I still wanted to enjoy the food that I was eating and have control over what's in it. I did not put any sugar in it, which is in the original recipe, but a little bit of salt to balance out the blandness of the bread. And I used 1 jumbo egg, 2 tablespoons of Greek yogurt, and I used about a half a cup of buttermilk that I had used or left over from when I made butter from heavy cream. So that's the milk that I'm using there. What you have to do is I use a little bit at a time so that the consistency doesn't get too wet. So I add it as I go. Then you want to make sure that you flour your counter. The counter has already been cleaned. And then you want to roll it out. You have to really put some strength into it. Pull that dough together and roll it out and flatten it. Roll it and roll it. Roll it, pull it, push it, pull it, push it until you get to the consistency that you want. Once you get to that consistency, sometimes if it's still a little moist on the inside, your hands will get wet, but you'll wind up with a ball like this. I cut it into about 6 pieces so that I can use later. So 3 pieces I actually fried, and the other 3 pieces I wrapped in saran wrap. And then you could put that in the fridge and use it later for other things if you want. You can make it into all kinds of bread usage. You can even make mini croutons or fajita chips or mini Doritos or whatever you want to use it for, and season it however you want to season it. I did not put any seasoning in this bread. I just wanted it plain. So I used a spray in the hot skillet. And then on the top, I made a little bit of seasoned olive oil and I brushed it on. So you will see that once it starts to bubble up on this side, this is when you're ready to flip it over. I like the little brown pieces. You could have used butter in this recipe, but again, I'm trying to save on fat and make it a healthier version. Now, this is what I used to make the fajita mix. I created this faux meat or faux steak out of gluten flour yesterday, and I chopped it up, whatever. So the only thing I was missing was some Worcestershire sauce. I didn't have any, so I had to just use what I had. And this meat was well seasoned already yesterday, so that's why I didn't put a lot of seasoning in here. I didn't want it to be too salty. I just added a little bit of that steak seasoning to give me some steak flavor. I used some smoked paprika, a little bit, about maybe a half of a teaspoon of taco seasoning mix, and then I added a little bit of pepper. It's like a Mexican cayenne pepper. I added a little bit. I want it too spicy. At the very, very end, I added this balsamic glaze. And then I used Greek yogurt in place of sour cream on my bread. Put that on there. I added my meat and my vegetables, some cheese. And I didn't think about it when I was building it. That is also some homemade salsa that I made. And then at the very end, I added some lettuce. I realized, like, this is missing something. But when I tell you this was so good, it was delicious. And I used me a sugarless soda. Bon appetit.